Welcome to an exciting episode of Dollars with Sense. We have a very special guest on tonight. She's the top-selling author of financial literature in Australia. Yes, that's right, ladies. The highest-selling author within the Boys Club of Finance is a woman. Louise Bedford covers things like exit and entry strategies, high and low-risk trades, trading as a couple, and what we need to do to start trading. We really do cover quite a lot in such a small amount of time. So sit back, relax, and let's have a friendly chat with Louise Bedford. Louise, welcome to Dollars with Sense.
Thank you very much, Dallas.
Now tell me, Louise, how do I get share trading? How do I start?
I think that that's a really good question. It's certainly something that a lot of people struggle with. The first thing to do is to get educated. Without education, you're really a little bit of a loose end. Reading books and listening to CDs and getting your head around some people who are really professional in the industry. Listen to what they've got to say and then start by paper trading. Just make it sort of easy for yourself so that you're not actually putting real money into the market. And then start with a small amount of money and see how you go. A lot of it is a little bit of a test and see how you go with it, and then add to your capital as you go along.
Louise, should I have a plan?
Completely. What you need to think about is that you need to be a business owner. So from the very beginning, have a written trading plan. Now, a written trading plan covers things like your entry, your exit, and your position sizing. So entry, how you're going to get into the trades, exit, how you're going to get out. So things like a stop loss. And also position sizing, which is something that a lot of traders don't even consider. But mathematically, if you can put the right amount of money into the right type of trades, you'll do so much better. And you're saving yourself a lot of risk as well.
What is position trading?
Position sizing is to do with the amount of money to put into each trade. So if something is of a higher risk nature, and certainly to define that in the first place is really important, you need to put less money into it. Whereas I think a lot of people go the opposite. They think, hey, it's high risk, what could go wrong? You know, I'm going to put 80% of my money in there. Really, that's not the best thing. If you've got a low risk type of trade, then you put a lot of money into that. And if you've got a high risk position, then you only put a little bit of money into it.
How do I find out what is a high risk and a low risk trade?
It's a good question. There's so much information and it's hard to decide what to do. But let's take the Australian market just for instance. Now, one of the things that I look at is the market capitalisation. So you might have heard of the top 100, the top 300 shares, that type of thing. So for me, low risk is within those top 100 shares. They've got high liquidity, you've got fund managers in there moving large amounts of money left, right and centre within there. And you've also got a lot of mum and dad in there as well, investing their superannuation, which is excellent. Now, other than that, the medium risk is from 101 to 300 in terms of the market capitalisation, and the higher risk is things like your speckies and things that have lower volume, which are really quite finicky and they can bounce around a lot. So that's where, for myself as a trader, I put less money into those high risk positions.
And what I should have asked before we started, your qualifications, do you have any?
I do, yes. I've got a couple of degrees. I've got a business degree in marketing and a psychology degree as well. And I'm also PS 146 compliant, which means I'm licensed to be able to provide general advice. The thing though with trading, Dallas, you don't need degrees. It's something that everybody should be doing for themselves rather than trusting the fund managers. I often think that people who are in the situation where they have a lot of information and maybe I was thinking of a neurosurgeon that I trained once, they have a problem with trading a lot of the time because they expect their qualification to carry over to trading, and they expect if they're brilliant in one area, they'll be brilliant in another, and it's not always the case at all.
So for the average mum and dad, who should be looking after the shares?
Oh, look, that's always a loaded question, isn't it? I've trained a lot of couples where they've decided to split the responsibilities between the male and the female. So, for example, the lady might be the one to do the analysis and the guy might be the one to actually put the trade on. But there are a lot of differences between men and women, and certainly to be able to come up with an idea how to share that responsibility in a couple, that's really important. Basically, whoever's got the most passion, whoever feels the most strongly about, I guess, the vision for the family and what they're trying to achieve for the family, they should be the trader in the family.
When I get people coming to my office and I'm sitting down with the husband and the wife, there's normally a dominant one, and the men look at things differently to the women, and I need to approach that and be aware of that. In trading, is there a difference between men and women as far as trading goes?
Definitely, and in fact a lot of the neurological studies that are coming out now, we're really being able to have a look at the neurological differences between males and females' brains, which I just love. It's a bit of a hot topic of mine. One of the things that Barbara and Odine in a study of 35,000 households discovered was that women actually make better traders than men. So what they did is they actually out-traded the guys by 2%. They achieved 2% greater per annum.
Only 2%. They spend 50%, yet they're only 2% ahead.
That's what we do. So with women, I think we need to have confidence from that and to realise that there is a place for women. And I think that sometimes we can feel as women a little bit lacking in confidence and feeling that we don't know what we're doing and feeling that it is a male domain. But really, those days are over. You know, go girls. I think it's a great way to go.
It's interesting that you say go girls. It's not really a topic that comes up at the Mothers Club meeting, is it?
It does now. It's
it
surprising,
does?
yeah. I find that because I'm an author, but I guess I do a little bit of presenting too, and I'm a trader, I find that what happens is people don't know what my role is and what our role is in society these days. You know, so many times we have to change hats, don't we? So I think to be a trader and to take control of your own financial future is absolutely essential, regardless of who you are and what stage of life you're at.
So let's say I want to start to be a trader, and I've spoken to my wife and said that I've got $1,000 or $2,000 there that I'd like to have a play with and see what I can do with it, but I don't know where to go. What do I do? Do I go and do a course? Do I Google traders in Melbourne? What do I do? What's the first step?
The first step, if you had $1,000 or $2,000, I would say you need to keep saving. A lot of people start trading when they're undercapitalised, and what that leads them to do is to take risky decisions, not to spread their risk, not to have enough positions so that they can actually excel. So certainly to keep on saving until you've got $10,000 to $15,000 where you can, I guess, put in some appropriate position sizing techniques. The next thing is to look at your own education. You know, focus on learning as much as you can about the market. The stock exchange has a competition on every year, and you can actually go into a paper trading competition. That can be a great way to go. And surround yourself with like-minded people. Find some people who are where you want to be in life and as a trader, and hang out with them. Find out what they did. I think it's really important to find yourself a mentor.
When you say associate with like-minded people, what do you mean? Why should you?
Oh, look, vested interest, that's one thing for sure.
A vested interest as in making plenty of money? Or?
That does help, yes, but also for encouragement. And in fact, what the research shows us is that you are pretty much a composite in terms of income of your close 5 friends, of your 5 closest friends. So if your 5 closest friends are only earning, say, $50,000 a year, probably you're earning about that amount too. So I always think it's a good idea to strive and to find people that can encourage you and inspire you and believe in you, and perhaps even provide some pointers as to what you can do to excel and achieve as well. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They feel shy and they feel awkward, but really that's such a key. Associating with success is really a focus of mine.
So you're implying that if I associate with intelligent, good-meaning people, that I might become an intelligent, good-meaning person?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I've found a group, or how would I find a group of people to associate with?
Well, one of the things is to find a trader that you relate to, whether you've read their books or listened to their CDs, somebody that you can say, well, I think that person roughly sees the world the way I do. And you've got to make sure that person will care for you and make sure that they have your best interests at heart. Generally, that does not mean going to a broker, first off, because brokers are going to make money from your trades, so they're going to have a vested interest to get you to trade more and more. So it's finding people that you can relate with, and a lot of good courses are online and a lot of good sources are available online as well.
So I would go to a course. How long do the courses go for? They go for an evening or a weekend, and how much do they cost as far as an industry standard goes?
There's no industry standard. There's so many differences. One of the programs that I run is a mentor program, and it lasts for 6 months where it's very intensive, but then after that the people get to repeat the program as many times as they like. So that is something to look for, that you can repeat a course and you can keep on doing it again and again for free.
Let's say I go to your course and I think to myself, you know, I see the importance of trading, I see the importance of prospering, but it's really not for me. What are your opinions? Well, first of all, what is a managed fund? And second of all, what is your opinion about using a managed fund opposed to not investing, or using a mentor or a facility that can invest for you?
Sure. I think the crux of your question is about personal responsibility and where you lie on the continuum. So there's some people that would prefer to hand over all of their money and not take any responsibility for their own actions. And there's other people who want full control and they want to invest completely for themselves. So one of the things is to think about where you lie on that spectrum. Now, certainly, if you're looking to go the managed fund route, it's important to have good information. One of the concepts behind managed funds is that you are handing your money over, and they are taking a nip out of every profit that you make, as well as a management fee. And if you look over the past 10 years, the majority of managed funds in Australia have only returned 5% per annum on average. Now, that to me is deplorable. As a trader, you wouldn't accept that. I think there's a lot better gains, and also emotionally a lot bigger gains to be had in your own life, to learn how to trade effectively and take full responsibility for your actions. Not only make more money, but become a better person at it as well.
So let me get this straight, Louise. You're saying that of all the large institutions in Australia that offered managed funds, their average is 5%. Over what period of time?
5% per annum, as measured over the past 10 years.
10 years, 5%. That's not as good. Okay, here's a question for you. The property market is around about 9.7, 9.8% over the last 20 years. And Australian shares are also in the same vicinity of that. There's 0.1% difference. Why would I leverage into shares and not leverage into the investment property, or vice versa, when I consider if I've got, let's say, $50,000, and most lending institutions will give you a 60-40 ratio, which is $125,000 total. They'll lend you 75 on 50. Whereas if you've got $50,000 and you can go out and buy a $500,000 house, in dollar terms, you've got $500,000 exposure of gearing compared to $125,000 of exposure with gearing. Why would I look at shares compared to the property?
That is such a good question, and I do think that that is a valid consideration for the majority of Australian families. One of the things with shares that I love is you don't only make money when it goes up. There are instruments and tools to be able to use to make money when it's going down. So even though you're saying that they're roughly the same, if you actually look at the All Ords and the return on the All Ords, sure, that it is roughly the same. However, if you're actually trading the way a trader should be, long and short, you can make more money than the property market.
What is the All Ords and what is long and short trading?
Long means making money out of an uptrend, short means making money out of a downtrend. And the All Ords is probably the benchmark that we use. It's mainly on the news to be able to say this is the aggregate of the majority of companies in Australia that are largish companies, and that's what we're looking at to see whether they're going up or down in value.
Louise, in summing up, what should we be doing?
Educate, educate, educate. Find somebody that you relate to, find a mentor in the business, get yourself some books to read, make sure that you focus on your own levels of personal responsibility and start small.
Thanks, Louise.